What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Aydian here, and today I'm going to talk to you about drains versus drainless when it comes to top surgery. So, for everyone who's been watching my vlogs every week, took a little bit of a hiatus, the holidays, the new year, everyone was sick. I'll get into it a little bit more in a future vlog, but today I had this topic that I wanted to talk about for a while, so I figured, let's just do this. Everything I talk about in this video, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you which surgery is best for you. But what I am doing is I'm trying to talk in a way that you can understand. Just very basic language, trying to use analogies that are super easy to understand. And I'm ignoring a lot of the science-y surgery kind of talk just so that you can actually understand what's happening. And if you want to get more information and really learn all of those fancy words, you could definitely, and you should definitely, do some Googling and learn that information for yourself. All right, let's get to it. I'm going to start off by saying that I myself, my top surgery was with drains. So am I a little bit biased? Yes. Am I going to try not to be? Absolutely. So let's start off with what I'm even talking about. So what is drains versus drainless? Why do you even need drains? For those who are looking into top surgery, and if you didn't know, when you get top surgery, what happens is they remove all of the tissue, right? They remove the tissue and then they sew up the skin and you get a scar. When they do that, they remove all the tissue and they make those sutures, there's a little bit of space, between the skin and what they've removed. In case you don't know and you're just watching this video, I'm a transgender dad, and my son just spilled orange juice all over the floor, so I'll be right back. Crisis has been handled. What was I saying? So what is it, right? So there's a little bit of space when they do the sewing of the skin, right? And what happens is your body naturally produces this fluid. And the fluid is neither good nor bad. It's just a response from your body. And what happens when you have drains is you have a drain that's along the line here and it comes out. And the fluid goes into there. And you have this little suction cup and it sucks all the fluid up, all right? When you don't have drains, what happens is they sew an extra inside sutura, I guess is the word, and what they do is, in that process, they are eliminating the space so not as much fluid could build up. Any fluid that does build up, your body will absorb through, I'm pretty sure, through your lymph nodes, if I did my research correctly, and everything will be fine. So what are the pros and cons to having drains? The pro, what I've been able to see is that these scars are smaller, not necessarily width-wise, but just length-wise. What I've noticed in drainless is that the scarring goes further back, or it connects in the middle. Now, I will also say that this is very dependent on your body and the skin. The way, at least with drains, the way they choose is where your skin begins to sag. So that's where the beginning, that's how you can kind of take note of where the beginning of your scars will start. If you are a higher body fat percentage, they do tend to go further back. But overall, when I look at the average, right, I do notice that drainless, the scars are a bit deeper. Some people care about this, some people don't. Something to take note. A con of having drains is that you have drains. And that for about 5 to 7 days on average, of course all of this is averages, you have to walk around with drains. You have to take out, if you're really, I'm pretty sensitive in the stomach, but it is what it is. You have this little suction cup, you have got to measure the drainage every day. It can be really gross. So some people just don't like to deal with that. What I would say is not a pro nor a con is that whether you have drains or drainless, those first 5 to 7 days, you're not doing too much. You're pretty much sitting in one spot. You are getting up, you're going to the bathroom, hopefully, if you know, you know, and, you know, you're just getting up to get a little movement in. But overall, you're just sitting in your chair or your bed, and you're not really moving much in those 5 to 7 days after top surgery. What I've noticed in a con for drainless is there's a lot more just bleeding overall. So your, you know, your scar, I guess it's not a scar yet, so your sutras, I hope I'm pronouncing that word right. That would be embarrassing. Your sutras, they just bleed more. Your nipples, if you decide to get nipples, they tend to bleed more, which maybe for some people makes you really anxious. What I've also noticed is that, you know, you have to put pressure on and the bleeding will go away, but I have noticed that there's just more bleeding in those first, you know, 7, 10, 14 days. A con to having drains, I'm trying to be even here, a con to having drains is that you have to get your drains removed, and it's pretty damn painful. My suggestion is if you are able to take your pain medication about an hour or two before you go to the doctor and get those drains removed, it does help, as I've been told, but it's painful to get them removed. So I will say that. That's the truth. A pro to getting drainless is that those, oh my gosh, how did I forget the word already? The hematomas. There's a slight less chance. Now, this is based on your body. Different bodies heal differently and respond differently to surgeries. But on average, this is all averages. You might be an outlier. On average, with drainless, you have less chance of a hematoma. You know, there's just less space for that fluid to collect, which means you have a less opportunity to have a hematoma. One con to having drains, that you can't shower. So you have drains, you can't shower, you know, it's definitely less hygienic if you're into that. With drainless, you can shower like within 2 or 3 days. With drains, you can't shower because you have that. With drainless, what I'll say is a pro is that I do notice that people are able to kind of get back to things quicker. Now, I wouldn't say it's dramatically quicker. I think it also depends on the person, but just the example of being able to like literally start showering, right? The difference there is that like the reason I'm saying slightly quicker is because when you do have drains, you have to remove those drains, right? And sometimes those drains can actually get stuck. Your body starts healing around the drain, and so you can reopen. That's not the right word. I don't want to scare you. It's not like you're reopening your scar, like your scars, but it's just, you're kind of, it's like having a scab, you kind of like nick it on something, it kind of like gets, right? So when they remove the drains, you have a hole right here. And in this hole, you have to heal the hole. And so you're in another like healing process, right? Usually you can start showering again, but there is like another healing process as opposed to drainless. You're already you're healing from day one because you're just, there's no reopening of anything. You don't have to remove anything. You know, they do take the little stitches out if you keep your nipples, which I guess technically has a slight little bit of healing, but same thing with drains. So all in all, drainless versus drains is very similar to one another. It's still top surgery, but I'm going to talk about some of the results that I have seen. So this is all anecdotal. You could argue against or for these things, and I'd be really curious to hear from those in the comment section of what you have experienced, both the pros and the cons. What I like to do is just give people information, and I trust that you know what's best for your body, and you're gonna make the decision you feel is best for you. I wanted to make this video because I felt like so many people were talking about how complicated drains are, and as somebody who had drains, I feel like, and I've also been with someone who didn't have drains, so I have had drains, I've helped someone recover from a drainless surgery, and the difference is just not as extreme as I think a lot of people make it. People make it seem like drains is so difficult, but what I see is there's pros to drains and there's cons to drains, and then there's pros to getting drainless and there's cons to getting drainless. You've probably noticed that the pros and cons are kind of this or that. They're not necessarily like drainless isn't so much superior and drains is not so much superior. Overall, I think that you should choose which one you want. And how do you do that, whether you're doing drainless or drains, right? Is you look at body types that are like you and you see the results of surgeons that have body types like you, and you can assume that your results will be similar to those individuals. The other reason I really wanted to make this video is that I just started to see drains get this bad rep, that they're so complicated and they're so, you know, scary, and it can be frightening because you do have a tube collecting your fluid that looks like blood. It's not all blood, but I'm just saying, it's a little gross. Overall, I just want people to know that you should choose what you feel the surgeon that you're looking at, what their results are, not based on the fact that, oh, well, I don't want drains. It's like, well, the best surgeon out there might do drains, and don't be scared of them. They're not scary. Drains are for so many procedures, not just top surgery. They have drains for lots of different procedures. So I just kind of wanted to break some of the stigma around getting drains. They're not that complicated. It's not that dramatic. There's not that much of a difference between drainless and drains. So overall, the moral to this story is do your research. Find out what surgeon you like, right? Just their vibe. Find out what results they have. Make sure those results are body types that are like your body type, right? Go onto different forums. Check out what they say. What are people saying about their bedside manner? What are people saying about their post-op care, right? And then also take everything with a grain of salt. Everybody's body is different. You can heal even different than your sibling might heal, or your cousin. You might go to a doctor and someone loves them and you are like, why do you like them? I hate them, right? So take everything with a grain of salt, but make an educated choice based on the research and information that you've gathered. That's the most important thing. So again, I really would love to hear comments below. Like, let's get into it. Drains team versus drainless team. What team are you on, and why? And then, you know, maybe we can be a little open and honest and say some of the pros and some of the cons. Like, I tried to share some of my cons of having drains here today. So definitely do that in the comment section below. Otherwise, if you want to hear and see other videos like this or follow my vlog, I also have an Instagram page, and me and my cisgender wife, we make a podcast every week called Glued Together, going over relationship stuff for trans and cis people. So yeah, check all those things out, anything that interests you. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. All right, catch you in the next video. Peace.